Okay.
Can we talk yet?
Every time, man. Every
What
time.
is happening, guys? Welcome to the Thursday before stream. It's Thursday, 10 past 8. I have been on a night out. I barely made it today, but you know who did make it today on time at half past? Send me a message on Skype. It is James, or Tongue and Loftus. How you doing, my buddy?
Yeah, all right. Been sat here for 11 minutes, but apart from that, I'm fine.
I am so sorry, everyone who's been waiting, who's been following me up. I've had a few, I've had a few drink responsibly tweets. Yeah, unfortunately, I've been kind of. I was on a night out. I can't.
You've been at a work do.
Yeah. So every year, what we do is we figure out what our objectives are for the next year, and then we submit them for March, and then they become, our April to April kind of thing. And every year we do something different. And this year we decided to go to the pub, and then we did a VR thing. So we go, it's like a Grand Prix. You have 15 minutes on a lap, and then you do, it's kind of like go-karting, but it's VR experience. And you get
Oh
to
my
pick whatever
God.
lap. It was amazing, and it was so freaky. And I got too drunk. And then we went back to the pub after the VR experience, and I left, what time is it now? 10 past 8.
So
Yeah.
hang on, when do you actually set objectives?
Yeah, so we set objectives about now, and then they get submitted to the executives, and
No, but
then
I mean when today? Like it doesn't sound like there's much room for any actual work
oh,
to
I
take
see.
place.
So we got to the pub at 1 o'clock. We went through all our reports 1 to 2 o'clock. Then we had kind of lunch, and then at 3 o'clock we went to the VR shop that was around the corner, and we did our VR Grand Prix.
This is the occupational hazard of streaming with someone who lives and works in Glasgow, is that there is a good chance that they are going to come back drunk, and
Oh,
that's just the nature of the beast.
but I'm here and I made it.
You're here, man, and actually, drunk Dave, fantastic FPL manager. So on that basis, I'm quite excited to
That's
finally meet
true.
him properly.
Welcome. Hello. How James, I've heard a lot about you.
I've seen I've seen quiet comatose Dave,
I
like
can't
the kind of
believe.
day that you might get on Christmas Day when he's been drinking all day, but I haven't seen
Uh,
actual hyped drunk Dave.
no.
They say that alcohol is a sedative. In your case, Dave, I feel like it's going to be the opposite.
I'm actually probably going to leave the stream at some point because I've literally just got in, turned Skype on, turned the stream on, went and got all my lights sorted and came back, but I have not, like, it's empty from the last stream. Like, I need to go and get myself a new drink. So at some point I'm going to leave you to just chat. But before
Speaking
we,
of,
oh,
I
sorry,
have
yeah, you
one.
go.
I just want to very quickly shout out the fact that I
Did you
now
get a
have the same
glass?
glasses. I've got a glass, mate.
What?
I've got a glass. So thank you to FPL Merch. If you're watching, thank you very much. Hopefully you'll watch it back if not. It says, don't drink an FPL. It never ends well. Dave, meanwhile, is the personification of the fact that it can end well
Yeah.
sometimes.
I actually like that. I like the fact that I've got a drink that is ironic. Like I'm drinking. It's like that Pepsi glass, Coca-Cola. I don't give a damn. You know what I'm talking about?
I
You probably
feel
don't.
like we've hit the big time now.
Yeah. So before we go, let's start the stream off as we always do. Thank you everyone who has came to the chat. We've got 24 viewers in right now, which is an amazing number. So thank you everyone. Hold on, let me. Flapjack's here. Hello, Flapjack. Shaughnessy, it's been a long time, mate. How's it going? It's Roz here as usual. Good evening. FPL Jamie. Chain Fire. On a scale of 1 to 10, how drunk is Dave? It is about an 8. It is an 8.
Hey, I went for a 9. I went for a 9.
No, if it was a, I don't know, 8, I can send texts without spelling too many things wrong. Like
Mhm.
I text. So it was my boss. I'm with my boss, and I said to her, I was like, "Look, I'm live at 8 o'clock. I need to leave at 7 on the dot. What time do you need me in by tomorrow?" And she was like, 9. And I was like, "No, I'm not getting in at 9." And we had an argument for 20 minutes about when I'm supposed to get in. And
I
then
can't believe that you've still got a job, to be honest with you.
it's the greatest job in the world.
I think the majority of the people watching the stream are here in the same way that people assemble around a car crash scene or
You
a
slow down on
crime,
the
where
motorway.
people kind of want to see the chaos and they want
Oh,
to see, something that's a bit not embarrassing necessarily, but traumatic.
Right, what have we got on today? We're going to go over the blank game weeks. We're going to be heavily leaning on Ben Crellin. He has got an amazing. If you guys haven't seen it yet, like fucking Google Ben Crellin, go on his Twitter. He has an amazing Google Doc. I'm going to show it on the stream. We're going to go over the blank game week 28, see what our plans are, figure out what wild carding means this week and last week. Go through game week 31 because obviously 31 is the big deal. We might potentially only have 3 fucking games on, which is ridiculous. It's like a 2% chance, but it could happen still. We'll go through all that. Then we're going to go over Ben Dinnery. Oh my fucking God. Having a chat with him was honest, like the most humbling / daunting / exciting / ridiculous thing. Like, last year, I was just a random dude streaming to like 2 people, and now I was making fun of Ben Dinnery's accent live, like on his So we're gonna talk about that. We're gonna talk about Ben Dinnery, and then finally we'll do, I don't know, captaincies or some shit. What do you think? Does that sound good?
I think that sounds good. I would also say, Dave, that we have had a record number of questions going into tonight, and it would be great if we could get to all of them. So maybe throughout the stream, we can intersperse our conversation with some weird and wonderful and FPL related questions.
That sounds good. We're only going to go for an hour. So we started at 10 past. We're going to finish it in 9 minutes and 10, or 9 hours and 10 minutes past the midday. Do you know what I mean?
This is the 8 out of 10 starting to creep in now. who refers to 10 past 9 as 9 hours and 10 minutes?
Sorry. Drunk Dave does, because he's autistic and that's how it works. That's how his brain works. So, so we're going to do the blanks strategies. We're going to probably jump into chip strategies because it does matter. Then we'll talk about just chatting to Ben because it's mental. And then we'll just do the questions. We're going to try and go for an hour and we'll see how that goes. I really do want to go get a drink though. So
it's delicious.
So
delicious
what should I do? What do you want to talk about while I'm away for 3 minutes? Not 3 minutes. I'll make it quicker than that. Do you want me to show your team? Do you want me to show your team?
Yeah,
and you can talk about your team.
I'll talk people through it. Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Fantasy it's very
Weekly.
Boring.
It's not boring. Your team is important to everyone. So this is a non-wildcard team, right?
Yes, as you can tell, because Mark Noble's still in there.
We told you. One goal does not Mark Noble make. Right. BRB, you talk about your team.
Okay, so let me talk you through last game week. As you can see, I had a respectable game week, largely because Aurier came in for a clean sheet, which was really, really fortunate, particularly given that, of course, Man City missed their penalty. So I was really grateful for his bench appearance. He actually came in for Sadio Mane, who you can't see, but he's on my bench. So Sadio Mane, I thought I'd start him just in case because you know what Jurgen Klopp is like. He obviously, he loves Sadio Mane. Obviously, he'd been ruled out, but I just kind of thought, you know what, he's not a red flag. I'll keep him in there. He probably won't play, in which case Aurier will come in. So I did that. So he's on the bench. Dendoncker also managed to get a starting berth somehow. Front line was awful. They scored a total of 6 points, which again I don't think you can see. It's hidden on my view of the stream at least. But Jimenez, Calvert-Lewin, and Vardy all scored 2 points. Of course, Mark Noble scored 2 points, although that didn't shock me. It really came down to Salah, and as we were talking about on the Fantasy Weekly podcast that was released yesterday, I think that was the case for a lot of people's game weeks. I think if you had Salah captain and you had Henderson, you were pretty much fine. And obviously I had the likes of Aurier and Alexander-Arnold to boost me. So it didn't feel like a good week because, as you can see, I had 7 of my players completely blanked. The reason why it ended up being quite a good week, I suppose, is because of those remaining 4 players. And it meant I actually got another green arrow. So I'm now up to just inside the top 200k, which is the highest rank that I've had this season, if memory serves me correctly. So I'm very happy. I'm very happy, particularly after last week where I spurned my triple captain on Mane. Oh, thank God he's back. All right.
Did you talk about how good Aurier is yet?
Aurier was the first player that I mentioned, yes. We've lost a lot of viewers at the time that you've been gone.
No way. Thank you for everyone who's stuck by James during his. But you didn't do badly, right? 67 points. That was better than.
No, it was a green arrow, as I was just saying. It's taken me up to my highest rank of the season so far, I believe.
And you are 159,000th.
No, 190,000. I think that's game week 1 you're looking at there. I think overall I'm about 190.
No, it says overall 159,888.
Oh, oh, nice. I'll take
Yeah,
that.
man.
Sorry.
Hold on, game week history. Right here we go. 159,000. The stream can see it.
Oh, that's great news. I
Yeah,
thought it
yeah,
was
really
about
good.
190. Oh, that's lovely.
You are storming it this year. I mean, I know
I
obviously everyone
wouldn't
wants to
say
be in
storming
the
it,
top
but
100k, but like compared to the other 7 million that are in the game,
tell you
that's
what's
really really
interesting
good.
though. I tell you what's interesting, Dave. So you look at my game week ranks, right? Each week,
Yeah,
I've only been inside the top 500,000 once this season. I haven't really had any exceptional game weeks. Look, that 475,000 in game week 17 is my best ever rank this season. Last season, I feel like I was in the top 100k at least 4 or 5 times for
really,
game rank. Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? I don't know. It's just a little tidbit for you there. And
I
actually,
like that.
it's one of the few game weeks where I didn't make any transfers either. So it just goes to show you.
Will not look at mine because it's a bit of a disaster. But four game weeks, greens on the bounce for you. You've kind of
Mm.
had a wee bit of a resurgence, haven't you?
Yeah, I have. I've had a bit of a run. I'm really enjoying it. I'm really enjoying it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's mental. I mean, you can. I don't mind you telling the audience how annoying I have been this week because I have
Well,
been buzzing about my rank.
you know what, Dave? Yeah, you have been quite. I feel like obviously we've got the WhatsApp group with Holly, and I feel like Holly's been a little bit angry at you on occasion. She's been a little bit just like, come on now, Dave, enough's enough. I would say to you, Dave, you know what? You've had a lot of bad luck this season. You finally get a bit of good luck. Why not enjoy it?
I
Do you know
agree.
what I mean?
I agree.
And
I agree.
actually, it wasn't that lucky because if you look at your on Saturday night, your rank must have been huge. You still had Aubameyang and Aguero to go, and in
I
a way, you
know.
were unlucky none of them returned because that could have been a really exceptional week for you
Yeah,
had
we
they.
we actually talked about that on the Monday stream. So Aubameyang had three shots, two big chances created. Aguero had 6 shots, five in the box. Like he
Won a
they but
penalty.
won a penalty, didn't get it.
Yeah.
Should have scored. Moy had a massive header just wide. Obviously Traore and De Bruyne are classics and they don't go anywhere else. But like it was the defense and Salah that kind of kept it going.
Mhm.
But it wasn't meant to be. However, obviously we can talk and talk and talk about the wild card. Everyone knows how well the wild card went. What we need to talk about is game week 28. That is on everyone's lips, on everyone's mind. What are we
Yeah.
doing? And then on top of that, like even more so, I've seen tweet after tweet after tweet today. Ben Krellin, everyone messaging him. What are we doing for game week 31? So I want to ask you what is your chip strategy? What are you actually planning on doing?
You know what? I don't have a plan, and usually, in an FPL season, I really will have a plan. It'll be very very clear in my mind what I'm going to do. I didn't plan to play the triple captain on the week that I ended up playing it, and
Yep.
look how that turned out. So I'm going to try and take it a little bit week by week, and I think the reason I'm able to do that is one because of the fantastic Ben Krellin who empowers us with knowledge that we need to plan a little bit ahead. But secondly, because I've still got my wild card, and usually by this point in the season, I've burnt both of my wild cards. So the fact I still have one and my free hit means that I can be a little bit flexible. You've created like a crazy loop there, Dave. Oh, we're back.
Sorry,
We're
we're going.
back.
We're going. I'm sorry.
Um, and yeah, so it sounds negligent, but at the moment I don't really have a plan. I do have my eyes on game week 31. However, you've already mentioned it. It's looking like at least 5 fixtures are going to be blanks.
It is
um,
honestly mental. Like it's
and
it.
it could be as low as 3 fixtures. And if it's only 3 fixtures, that's 6 teams. The question then becomes, do you even want to play your free hit?
Yeah,
Or do you just want to ride out the fact that everyone's going to have a bad game week? Play the players you can. Because, a free hit is a difficult one, isn't it? Because whilst you want to use it during a blank game week, perhaps, you don't want a choice of terrible players. You want to feel as though you're still getting some value in your team. And I don't necessarily know that I want players from the likes of Wolves, Bournemouth, Burnley, and Watford
yeah, exactly. You don't want them
in my
stinking up your
side.
fucking team.
Yeah, exactly, exactly.
So
And
we've got Ben Krellin's. He does an amazing Google Doc Excel sheet. Everyone is welcome to it. You just go on his Twitter. It's literally linked in his bio. It's the one that we've got right in front of us. Let's talk a little bit about it. Total blanks, number, and chance, right? 2 blanks, 0.4%. Probably not going to happen. The most realistic blank, total blanks, is 6, which actually
Yeah,
leaves us with 4 playing games. So
yeah.
the highest amount of games, probably based on Ben Crellin, is 4 games. We know Wolves and Burnley are safe. Watford haven't looked the same without Sarr, but they're still, there's some assets in there. For me, looking at it from someone who's wildcarded either this week or last week, you are pretty much guaranteed have to do it for your free hit in Gaming 31. So I've been going over this and over this and over this in my head. There's no way that I can get 11 stars for Game Week 31 without making every single
No.
transfer either a Wolves player right now and a Burnley player, and then as we go on past Game Week 29, when we find out who else is blanking and who's not, bring those players in. So either Southampton or Tottenham or whoever gets through to the quarterfinals. So I would need to start like right now.
But Dave, the thing is that whilst I totally hear what you're saying, if you're going to field 11 players, you need to free hit. The question is, though, on a week like that, and let's say there are only 4 fixtures, okay, so 8 teams, on a week like that, do you even need to field 11? Or can you get away with, say, fielding 4 or 5 and assume that the vast majority of managers are also only going to be able to field 4 or 5? That's the question I would say. Could your free hit be better used prior to a double game week, for example, where you can field 11 double players? I mean, that's what it's about.
Yeah.
It's about, there's no point in playing a free hit to bring in an extra 7 players that are all just going to score 2 points.
Yeah, well,
You know,
exactly. And FBL Jamie in the chat said I would be just happy with 8, 9, 10 starters without having to use free hit. And It's Raw has asked, what if Liverpool don't blank? We'll use free hit. For me, the upside is to have obviously 11 players that have the best chance of scoring in that game week. But in the flip side, if you don't use your free hit, you're hoping that that free hit can then be utilized in a double game week where you can try and maximize the points on that.
mm,
Are we having 2 double game weeks? Because I have a bench boost and I have a free hit. If there's 2 double game weeks, then that works perfectly because I'll have 2 chips left and I can maximize my points then. If there's only going to be like a shitty double game week, like the Liverpool one that just went past,
mhm.
that I'll have to use one on that and then one on an actual double game week where there's like 5 or 6 double game weeks for each team. That would be awesome. But if there's only one, I can only use my free hit for one of those. So
Yeah,
I would probably prefer to use my free hit now because it will give me the better chance of overcoming all those that don't use it, propelling my game week, propelling my overall rank, etc., etc. But this is something that we actually you because of how many free transfers you get between now and game week 31, which is 6 by the way, if you haven't used anything this week, and only 5 if you have made a transfer this week. So if you have made a transfer, you have 5 more transfers until game week 31. Can you deal with game week 31 in 5 transfers?
well, the other question is, do you want to start filling your team now with players from the likes of Burnley and Watford, Wolves and Bournemouth? I mean, I think
Yeah,
we all know the argument for Wolves, don't we? And I
of
think that's
course.
I think Wolves is fine. It's fine to even have a triple up on Wolves. I think their defense
Yeah,
is probably good enough to have the Jimenez, Traore, and a Wolves defense. I
Bolly,
think
innit?
I
It's
think
Bolly.
I think yeah, I think Bolly probably is the one, and that would be a sensible way of preparing for it. Would I necessarily advocate bringing in players from the likes of Bournemouth, Watford, and
Well,
Burnley? To
okay,
be honest with you, no.
let's actually do it. So I've got Traore in my team, right? So
Mhm.
next game week I bring in Jimenez after Aguero does whatever he's wanting to do against West Ham. I bring Jimenez in, and then I use that money and I upgrade someone to Bolly, and then after that I've got 3 Wolves. I need to bring in a Burnley player. So I get Woods because he's the only Burnley player I want. Or maybe I upgrade my second goalkeeper to Pope. So I've got 4. I still need 3 more players, and they have to come from either Burnley, Bournemouth, or Watford. Now, Bournemouth are dead. I'm not going to touch them, right? There's no point doing it. The only person I would maybe want is Callum Wilson, and there's too many striker positions already filled. So that's fucked. So Bournemouth is out of it.
Tell that
Watford.
to Ben Dinnery, mate. Tell that to Ben Dinnery. Bournemouth's biggest fan, apparently.
He actually had triple Bournemouth.
He did. He
He
was like, oh, I got rid of
triple.
their
I got
keeper.
rid of their
Like,
keeper.
Why did you have
Why?
Ramsdale
Why
for so long?
Ramsdale, Rico, and Callum Wilson in the same team? That is
Ben
mind-boggling.
Ben Ben Dinnery's going to get more from us than we will from
I
him.
know.
I can tell you that.
I'm gonna bring him on the stream, and I'm just gonna let the chat have him. And chat, I would love to hear your thoughts because obviously, and Joe, if you guys have watched the or listened to the Scoutcast this week, he made a really, really, really good point, and he said, "Look, the last 3 seasons. By the way, I'm drunk as fuck. Like, listen to how synchronized we are. I'm so proud of myself right now. I'm making sense. I'm loving this. Right. So Joe on the Scoutcast today, he said, last couple of seasons, we have all been using our wild card just before a double game week in a chip strategy that has benefited us to maximize our points on a double game week, and without fail that has worked 3 seasons in a row. Now, who was on it? It was Tom. It was what's his name, the City, he loves City, and I met him, he was there on our night out. What is it? It starts with a K. He was on there and he was talking about how he's wild carded last game week, same game week as me, and then Joe is wild carding right now. So that's 3 different very, very good managers wild carding at different points of the season because it's
Hmm.
best for their team. This is unprecedented in the actual community. There's never been
Yeah,
a
it
point
is.
where everyone is wild carding at different times. It's exciting. I fucking love it.
And the thing is, Dave, is that it's an unprecedented season as well. And I think this is important to remember because whereas before, I think when we've been saving our wild cards for the late double game weeks, we've been firm in the knowledge that the likes of Liverpool and Man City are going to be playing their best teams until the very last game of the
Yeah.
season. The problem is with this season, of course, is that we don't have that security because Liverpool only need 6 wins from their last 13 games in order to
Yep.
secure the league. If they get those in their next 6 games, which let's face it, looks quite likely,
Yep.
it means that for the remaining 7 games, they could be fielding any team with the title in the bag. And bearing in mind they're still in the Champions League, they could well still be in the FA Cup. They could be looking at a treble here. That is not something that I think Klopp would want to turn down, even if it meant sacrificing a points record in the Premier League.
I, uh,
So
it was Karam that I was trying to remember his name. Thank you very much for being. I met him. He's such a nice guy. You know, he flew in for that winter Christmas meetup.
what a guy!
I know, and mental. He loves Aguero
I,
so
I bet
much.
I bet he still got there faster than it took me to get from Norwich
two,
on the
two
bloody
hour
Meg
2 hours
bus.
on a fucking bus. I know. I know. So it's exciting, and also it means that there's gains to be had. If everyone's doing the same thing, it's boring. You have to kind of follow the crowd, or else you'll fall behind. Last year, I was about at this point in the season, I was about 3K, and I remember wild carding, and it was a double game week the next game week, and I brought in Ericsson and I captained him, and I made it into the top 1,000 because of that captain. He got a goal in the first game and he got an assist in the second game, and it was a big differential, and that was amazing, right? This season, no one no one is doing the same thing. Everyone has a different opinion on when to use their free hit, when to use their wild card. So regardless of what you decide to do, the biggest advice that me and James and whoever can give you is that whatever is best for your team is what you should do. So what I think we should go through right now in the next 5 minutes is discuss how do you decide what is best for your team. So
Hmm.
for me, my wild card, I took 11 players out. I've never taken 11 players out in my fucking puff. Do you guys say that in England? Puff?
No.
It means life. It means life. In my puff, it means life. So in my life, I've never taken 11 players out. I kept Salah, Kevin De Bruyne, I kept Trent Alexander-Arnold, and I kept Ings. That's it. That's just a
Mm.
bench. I get rid of everyone else. So that was best for me in the time that I did it. If you have Cantwell, Traore, Jimenez, maybe a couple of City players or a couple of Sheffield United players, and you could probably bring in 3, 4, 5 Wolves, Bournemouth, Burnley, or Watford players, and also Liverpool don't make the quarterfinals, then you are golden in your team to cover the Game Week 28 and cover Game Week 31. But my team, I'm gonna release my FPL FAQ article, and this is, I know you love your film references, James. This is the film reference of the century, right? Do you remember?
I won't get it.
You will get it. Do you watch The Day After Tomorrow? You've seen that movie.
Like back in the day, probably on a plane.
Right, so he's talking to the president. He's like, Mr. President, I think we should evacuate everyone underneath this line. And he draws a line like halfway through the USA. And he said, everyone below this line needs to go to Mexico right now. And everyone above that line needs to try and stay warm because they're fucked. And then it's like, oh no, you can't just condemn half the population. That's horrible. And then one of the advisors goes, Mr. President, his son is in New York. And they go, oh no. And it's supposed to hold more weight that everyone is fucked above that line. Whoever has wildcarded this game week or the game week before is above that line. They're fucked. And my team is above that line. Do you know what I'm saying? Like I have fucked
So
it. I need to wild card, or sorry, I need to free hit in Game Week 31 because I have already used my wild card.
yeah,
There's no way, unless I take 3 hits, 3 minus 12, there is no way I can produce
but
11
Dave,
players unless I have a Liverpool that doesn't blank. And I know
but
what you're
there
going to
is
say, is there any point in getting 11 if there's only a couple of games?
Yeah, that's what I'm going to say. There's no point in fielding a team of 11 players if all you can choose between is Wolves, Bournemouth, Burnley, and Watford. Get in triple Wolves, have maybe Pope or Chris Wood,
Yeah.
and leave it and just ride it out, mate. That would be my advice. But then again, as you've already said, it all depends on a double game weeks. I think to follow on from what you're saying, I think part of the problem here at the moment is that we don't have a template solution. The
Yes.
template solution will arise. We don't know it yet because there are still so many ifs and buts, but the template solution will arise. When that happens, you are faced with two choices. You either go with the template solution, and I would recommend anyone within the top 500k does exactly that, or you resist the template solution and try to capitalize on the herd mentality that could be condemning plenty of managers to another mediocre chip usage season. I would say in your position at the moment, Dave, outside of that top 500k, it makes sense for you to try and be a little bit more aggressive in your chip usage.
Cheeky. I would say the word is cheeky. I would be a bit more
Cheeky.
cheeky. Yeah.
Yeah,
You know what I
cheeky.
mean?
Maybe Ben Dinnery outside of the top million, he has to be aggressive. You have to
Yes.
be cheeky. For someone like me, who is apparently just outside the top 150k,
Yeah.
I perhaps need to be a bit more template in the way that I approach my
Yeah.
chips, which simply means playing them when everyone else does and
Yeah.
hoping for the
My
best.
my range is between 1 million and 200k in the next 4 game weeks, let's say. That's my range. If I'm cheeky with it and it comes off, then I could probably propel myself another half my overall rank, which is about 450k. If everything comes off right and I do everything right, that's fine. For you, if you're following the template and you have maybe 1 or 2, you could probably get into the top 100k and no more. You would need to really, really go aggressive to get like, top 50k, top 10k.
Yeah, but
Whereas
yeah,
Ben Dinnery, like, there's no chance for him. He needs to fucking like aggress right now. Like, his team is actually kind of. If you guys listen to the Fantasy Weekly, we revealed that Dinnery is now part of the podcast, and he will be a panelist from now on. And Liam in the chat said it was a banger of a podcast. Thank you very much, Liam. He needs to be aggressive as fuck. He needs to really go for it to make it into the top 100k. And if he goes for it and nothing pays off, he's going to be in the top 2 million. So really, everyone here needs to make a decision right now. This is the game week to make it. Am I going to try and cover game week 31 with no free hit and use my free hit elsewhere and try to maximize on that? Am I going to use my free hit and maximize on the couple of game weeks between now and then with players that the non-free hitters won't be bringing in? Sheffield United, City players, Arsenal players, all those players that aren't going to be blanking, or probably not. No offense to Portsmouth fans. I actually love Portsmouth. I've got a strip and everything. Those players can make gains between now and then, but we do need to make a decision. And there's no real way, unless we can see your teams, that we can give you advice otherwise. So, and that's why it's so difficult, because a lot of people like me and you will go and we'll listen to the 59th minute podcast, or we'll listen to Planet FPL. We'll try and find some semblance of a template that we can grab onto,
Mm.
some semblance of a strategy, and be like, yes, actually, you know what? I don't need to use my free hit in Game Week 31 because I don't need to play 11 players. I'll just play 8 and I'll be happy with those 8. And then I can use my free hit elsewhere and blah, blah, blah. We want answers fed to us. But there's actually no way we can do that
I,
confidently.
I've got to say, I think now is not the time to make a decision. I do disagree with you there, Dave. The reason I know what you mean. I think for in your position, it's the question is more burning because you've already used your wild card,
Yes,
so you
that's a
don't
good
have the
point.
freedoms
Yes,
that I do.
correct.
What I would say is, at the moment, we don't have enough knowledge to make a decision, an informed decision about what we're going to do with our chips yet. That's why I haven't even tried to formulate one yet,
That,
because
that's a great
for
point.
yeah, for me, we don't have enough knowledge. In a few weeks' time, after a few of those FA Cup fixtures have been played out, and you know what the FA Cup's like. Like, I don't think we're going to have 8 blanks. Sorry, 7 blanks in game week 31. I think there are going to be some surprises, and I think once we can see the wood through the trees, I will then set about formulating something more concrete.
It's actually quite a controversial topic. I mean, we've got 3 messages in the last 2 seconds in the chat. One says, Shaughnessy says either Spurs versus West Ham or Norwich versus Everton will play as Spurs play Norwich in the FA Cup.
Yeah.
So that means it's one or the other and not both. FPL Jamie says, I disagree. I'm still unsure and think that I'll be a lot wiser if I wait until after the winter break and we find out who's actually through to the quarterfinals. Tom says, if you get 8 or so Burnley, Everton, Norwich, Spurs / West Ham without free hitting, then you have to stick with those quite average players for at least a few weeks after. So
Yeah,
there's
good
it's
point. Yeah.
honestly polarizing, right? So I've got my team up here, right? Now, if I don't make a decision now and I wait till game week 29 when we actually find out what the fuck is happening, I need to make sure that all of my transfers are based on the fact that I am considering the worst case scenario for those free hits. So I need to bring in Jimenez,
Mm.
Bolly, Burn. I need to bring in those definite players so that if it gets to the point where I can make an informed decision, I haven't wasted those free transfers. And that's what I mean by making the decision now on what you're going to do, because we don't have enough free transfers to actually. What if it happens that we come to game week 29 and we decide, actually, you know what, I'm going to not use my free hit. We've just made 3 transfers between now and then that might not even work with that strategy. So you're actually going to paint yourself into a little bit of a corner by not following through on a strategy right now that you decide in game week 29. You see what I'm saying?
Yes.
Am I too drunk? Does that make sense?
Yes, no, no, no. That does make sense. I know what you're
Thank
saying.
fuck.
I just think obviously, and the thing that everyone will be screaming, as they watch this is, whilst you are making sense, and whilst in order to do damage limitation, you probably should start thinking about game week 31 now with regards to your free transfers. The thing is that what team wants to be saddled with the likes of Pope and Bolly and
Yeah.
and Bournemouth players and Watford players and maybe Norwich, maybe Spurs, maybe West Ham. None of those players, none of those teams are particularly appealing. Even I would argue Wolves isn't a particularly appealing prospect at the moment, particularly for a triple op.
Well,
So I just think that I just think that I think that basically, if you've got your wild card now, you have a lot more freedoms than you do without it. I would say for you, Dave, um, I don't know. I find it hard to justify not playing your free hit in game week 31,
yeah.
and I think then you've got a bench boost to play for the big double, and you'll be fine. I would not recommend to you that you start free transferring in order to prepare for game week 31
Yeah,
because
I'm doing it just now, right in front of you, while you guys talk. Like, I've taken Aguero out for Jimenez, Aubameyang out for Wood. I've bring in Bolly. I've got 9.5 million in the bank. So depending if Son is blanking or Mane is blanking, I could upgrade whoever the fuck I want. Like, if I start on that trajectory that you're advising against, I've got to hope that someone big doesn't blank, which is really difficult to do. Whereas someone who isn't wildcarding has a lot of opportunity to wildcard afterwards, fuck their team up for now, and then just immediately fix it game week 32 or game week 34, whenever the game week before the doubles is. So
Mm.
yeah, I think I absolutely agree with you. If you have wildcard in the last two game weeks, then you're probably in the same position as me. You're above the line in the day after tomorrow. You're gonna have to free hit. And if you're below the line, you haven't wildcarded yet. You've still got a couple of chips to play. It probably is best to just kind of write it out. Don't bring anyone in that is definitely blanking. Like City, they're probably definitely going to go through, or their opponent is going to go through, and kind of focus on the other teams and hope for the best, and
And of
then
course,
figure it out.
City are blanking soon anyway. So I mean,
Yeah,
it would be silly to start bringing them in now on free
that's
transfers, and the
true.
same
We've
goes
got
for
to we've got to actually add on the fact that like there is a blank game week 28. So I've
yeah.
got to, as a wild carder, deal with my fucking Sheffield United players. Like I've got
You
six
do
blankers. I've got, hold on, let me look at my team. Right, hold on. Let me
massive
refresh.
blankers.
Right, I've got Henderson, but that's fine because he's covered by McCarthy. But I've got Stevens, Egan, so that's one, two. I've got not Traore, De Bruyne, Aguero, and Aubameyang.
Aubameyang, yeah.
One,
So
two,
that
three,
is,
four, five out of my 10 outfield players are blanking. So in the next three game weeks, I'm gonna have to deal with that.
yeah, you
So
are,
so
you
with
are.
wildcards of last week, who didn't factor in their game week 28 or game week 31, are gonna be in the same boat as me. And anyone who's wildcarding this week, I would implore to maybe only double up in Sheffield and not triple up. Or maybe if you're going to go for Aguero, get rid of De Bruyne. Now, I know that's a hard thing to talk about, but
We have actually had a question about Kevin De Bruyne.
yes, mate.
It's from Liam Healy, legend, who says he asks firstly whether KDB to Son for the blank is a good move, and then he says, "Can we go without KDB altogether, or is that too much of a risk?" He also asks whether I've ever thought about Dave in a sexual way. The answer is obviously yes, most nights and mornings. Let's address his first question first. Is KDB to Son for the blank a good move? To me, I think you could do a lot worse than Son.
Yeah, I mean, Son has been lucky to get 2 goals in 2 games. The fact that he has been playing woefully, and that's not me saying this. If you guys listen to Planet FPL, Suj is the most critical Spurs fan I have
And
ever
that's
met.
saying something because there are some
There's a
very
lot of them.
critical Spurs fans out there.
he
Yeah.
he fucking hates Spurs. um, and he was like, I'm not getting any of the Spurs players for the rest of the season. They're woeful. And even Mourinho came out. I was on a night out. I was still watching Sky Sports in the pub, and Mourinho came out and said, the best team lost against Southampton, and
Mm.
and that is so telling that there's still work to be done at Spurs. However, Son has had 16 points in the last 2 games, and De Bruyne has only had 9. So
Yeah.
anyone who's made that switch is good. Bergwijn, or however the fuck you pronounce his name, is he showed everyone what we can do on his debut against Man City. Now that is pressure, and he has performed admirably.
So to answer Liam's second question, and I think you kind of already have, um, is it too risky to go without KDB altogether? I think, Dave,
It's not
if
that
I can
risky.
if I can extrapolate what you've said in the last 5 minutes, you think actually Kevin De Bruyne out, particularly with his blank in 29,
Yeah,
could be a decent move.
I
Three
think
up 10 million.
I'm with FPL. I'm with Planet FPL in that Spurs is not a good team to target. However, Son has this unrelenting lust for goals, despite how shit the team he plays for is. That De Bruyne out could potentially pay off because of the bad fixtures, bad form, versus Son's good form and good fixtures. Now that's just like math, but it could all come to face. Son could get another red card tomorrow. Do you know what I mean? Like
He could.
Spurs are still shite,
He
and
could.
City are still better.
Although we could really posit that to any player in the Premier League,
I
and
knew you were going to
indeed,
say that. I don't think
Kevin
Kevin
De
De
Bruyne.
Bruyne doesn't have it in him. You've seen that tackle.
Kevin De Bruyne has got an injury in him now. So
Yeah, that's true.
I know what you're saying though. I know what you're saying. Yeah, Son obviously. I mean, he's had 2 red cards. He's been
He's
suspended for 5 games this season,
yeah.
which tells you all you need to know. So I do hear what you're saying.
I do like it, and in front of me, I've still got all those players that are blanking grayed out. You guys can see that in the stream. If I was going to fuck with this right now, it would definitely be Jimenez in there, Spurs in there at some point, either their new player or Son. I would need to deal with the striker. I'm like even just anyone who isn't blanking in game week 31 is good enough for me. But I think we've talked about it too much. The point that we are making, however drunk that half of us are, is that it really depends on your team, if you've wildcarded recently, and how many players that you can field in Game Week 31 without a hit. Now, just before we move on, I'm going to draw your attention to Ben Krellin, who has actually given us a formula, which I love. Did you see this recently? He tweeted saying, like, if you've got... Hold on, I'm going to find it because I'm going to fuck it up if I start talking about it and I'm drunk as fuck. Cue silence.
Yeah, well, I'm waiting in suspense. I've heard,
So here it is.
you built this up.
Calculate the minimum number of players you can get in Game Week 31 without hits. So A, how many Norwich plus Everton players do you have? B, how many Tottenham and West Ham players do you have? C, whichever answer from A to B is smaller. So for me, I have 0 Norwich, 0 Everton, 0 Tottenham, 0 West Ham. You guys might have more. Plus how many Wolves plus Bournemouth plus Burnley plus Watford, which is the definite non-blank teams in Game Week 31. So I have Traore, so that's 1. Plus 5, which is the amount of transfers that we definitely have between now and Game Week 31. So 5 plus C plus D in front of you equals plus current number of free transfers, because he's including if you've got 2 free transfers this week or 1. That's the minimum number of players you can get in Game Week 31 without hits. So
Yes.
there's an actual formula for that.
Yes. The problem is that no one's, or not enough people are talking about the fact that when you're making these transfers in game week 26 and 27 and 28 and 29, you are having to deal with the fact that you've got Wolves, Bournemouth, Burnley, and Watford players in your team, which no one wants up until game week 31. The only game week in which they are desirable is game week 31. In every other game week around that, between now and game week 38, they are not desirable, and you want them out of your team. And this is the problem: is that yes, feasibly, most people can probably build a squad of 9 or 10 players without using a free hit for game week 31. The issue, hi Andy. The issue.
I was sure that he tweeted about this
how
exact
can I articulate my impassioned, serious FPL points when look at the tomfoolery that's going on
I was sure that Andy had actually
Holly's
spoke about
here.
this exact thing, but all I found is his dog pictures. Holly, how's it going, Holly?
She's feeling sad again that she hasn't. She's been on the FPL show tonight.
Wait, hold on, stop. Holly? Do you want to come in Skype? I can add you in. You won't be on screen, but
I think she's probably in a hotel room making use of the free gin. But we can definitely, maybe she's got a.
Holly, you let me know if you want me to phone you. You can tell us exactly what you're doing with your chip strategy.
That would be nice.
That would be cool.
We have spent 43 minutes on chips.
I know.
So I am.
So what are you what are you doing then? You're waiting until game week 29.
Yeah, let's move on from chips, I reckon, mate, because we could talk about it until the cows come home. I'm waiting until Ben Craig tells me exactly what to do.
And I am free hitting in game week 31 almost definitely. Cool. So we're kind of sorted, right?
Holly says Love Island is on at 9. She can do though.
She can do though.
I
like can do. I
want enthusiasm. I want enthusiasm. I don't want. Oh, I suppose I could. Please let me on, guys. Let me on.
Are you calling rank? Is that you saying no?
No. That's me saying, Holly, give me some enthusiasm. And
I don't have Holly on Skype because you always do the Fantasy Weekly call. So you would need to call her. You would need to invite her to chat. So I'm going to leave it down to you. But you're right. We have been talking about it for 48 minutes.
I don't.
But yeah. So in conclusion, I am going to probably free hit. Oh, she said please.
Oh, okay. I'll take that. I don't. I'm now just trying to figure out how to actually do it though.
Uh, Go to plus at the top right, click on that, and then add to
Oh yeah,
call
cool.
will come
Yeah,
up, and then just add her.
perfect. Thanks, man. You're so good at Skype.
I could actually,
Um,
and
all
Andy
right,
is
I'm adding
on
her.
Skype if I wanted to add her.
Holly's coming in.
Is Holly? Did Holly just do the scout? Or whatever?
Hey,
Hi, Holly.
sorry.
Here
I
she is.
just need to
Look,
put my headphones on.
sharing a screen with me.
She's gonna have to share the screen. I hope that's okay.
Oh wait, hang on. I look this way. Hi, Holly.
Am I actually on?
You're actually on. You're live
In video.
in video. How's it going?
So
How was the show?
it was good. I'm on my second double free gin.
I think I've had
Oh.
about 12 bourbon and
So
cokes.
nice. I wish my alcohol was free.
I decided to retire to my room, ready for Love Island, and say that I could watch a bit of you guys.
Right,
Oh,
Love
gotcha.
Island's on in 4 minutes, so we'll let you go in 4 minutes. But we just want to let's tell the people what don't talk about this versus this or this chip versus the chip or whatever. What are your plans?
For the trip,
Yeah, for the game weeks that are blanking.
well, I've only got 3 players for 28, so that's fine. No, I've only got 3 that blank for 28, so that's
Right.
fine. 31 is just going to be awful. But what I'm thinking is I'm going to ride 31 out.
Okay.
I'm saving a few transfers now and bringing in players that have games in 31.
Okay.
And
So
then-
Ooh,
I like that.
I hate that.
I've got your team in front of us. Have you made any
Yeah.
transfers for this game week?
I'm going to transfer out Kelly and bring in Charlie Taylor.
Taylor.
Oh, Burnley, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So you're
Yeah, fair
you're
enough.
already deciding to just kind of deal with game week 31 with transfers and nothing else.
Yeah, it's going to be a rubbish game week. And, you know, Liverpool might be in it, they might not be in it. But either way, I'll be sorted because I've got 3 Liverpool players. And then my plan is to wildcard 32 and then potentially free hit in 34, which is going to be like a mixed bag game week.
Wow. Okay, interesting, Holly. So do you just very quickly, do you feel as though free using your free transfers in order to prepare for game week 31 is going to hinder your team up until game week 31?
Yeah, exactly. And I do it every season, but you know, blanks and doubles, I just embrace it. I just have to go all in. So I'm going all in again.
Fair enough.
Why not?
So, and to be honest though, you've got a few players on your bench. If Mane comes back, if Holgate is banging next game week or whatever, you're not making transfers in which will hinder your game week every single week. Like you're bringing in players slowly, so it's not going to fuck your whole team up, right?
Exactly. And I mean, the team's crap anyway. I mean, I've got Vardy and Madison have done nothing for weeks, but they've got Norwich in 28 away as well, which is good because Norwich attack more at home.
Yeah, and that's what James was saying on the podcast. So how was the show?
Yeah, it was good. Had a good one. Talked about Vardy, Aubameyang. Me and Jules did a little one-on-one at the big screen talking about Newcastle.
Now we're talking.
And she's
At
your
last.
female crush, right?
I don't think I said that, did I?
She's
No, it's
she's
James.
everyone's crush.
Is James. So the show went well, and you're just sitting in the hotel waiting for Love Island.
Yeah, I'm a bit disappointed I've only got 1 bed this time. Last time I stayed, I got 2 double beds, and I had that big decision of which one to sleep in.
Did you not push them together, Holly?
No, I didn't.
Go for a quadruple bed.
Just
I
lie
took the
out like
advice to
starfish.
Sleep on the one furthest away from the door was the advice, so that was what I went with.
Well, now that we've got you here, let's move on because we've been talking. Honestly, we'll talk about this till the fucking cows come home. And you're
Can I
absolutely
show
right.
you that Love Island is about to start? I don't know how I flip my camera.
Say,
All
1
right,
minute.
give us
to
in
go.
one sentence before you go off. How excited are you that Ben Dinnery is on the podcast now?
So excited. What a signing. I mean, just when he goes into his little injury mode, that is just wonderful. And like, especially at the moment, because there's so many injuries going on. There was Sterling, Mane. I don't know who else we covered.
Yeah, but
That's you
they're
too.
high profile injuries.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
Are
weird.
you
He makes it.
appreciating that I've had my hair and makeup done for
I
you
was about to
two?
say, you actually look amazing. Look at your little curls. You've had your makeup done. There's no
Yeah.
baby sick on you. It's a good look. It's a good look.
The one-off special offer
Was that
tonight only.
was that for us?
No.
All right, Holly, we'll let you go.
It's for the millions tuning in.
Thank you so much for coming on the stream. That's funny.
That's all right.
And we'll see
I'm
you
sad
on Monday.
I'll have missed your girlfriend's update today, Dave.
Oh, I know.
I caught the wrong part of last week's stream, and I'm wondering if I've missed out on this week.
What
No,
was
you
the
haven't
question?
yet.
If before you go, what was the question, James? That
It
Holly
was
wanted my
about-
girlfriend.
It was about whether you stand or sit down when you're wiping your bum.
Me and my girlfriend both did the same thing, which is sit down.
Yeah, normal.
Normal
Oh.
shit.
That's from FPL King, by the way, who's a cheeky chappy for asking that, but I loved it. So
We'll go through that in more detail, but just for you, Holly, I'll just give you the quick 411. Yeah, we're both boring. All right, thank you so much for
Lovely.
jumping on.
Have a good stream. See you
Thank
soon.
you. See
See
you
you later,
later.
Holly.
Bye.
Bye.
That's hilarious.
Right, how do I? Does she go? Yeah.
Yeah,
okay.
she's away and you're back on and you're exactly where you should be.
Yeah, nice.
So Holly's doing the same thing as you, really. She's kind of adding one or two players from the non-blanking template, and then she'll see what happens. So it really is the amount of answers to this question. It just shows you how many different strategies there can be. It's probably the most open part of FPL that I've been a part of.
Yeah, I know. I agree with you, man. I think it's exciting, it's cool, and it is like you're right. Normally by game week 26, there is a template strategy in place, and people tend to know exactly what they're going to do, and when. Obviously, we don't yet. I still think there will be a template strategy that will emerge, but it is, it's all eyes on Ben Crellin, isn't it? As it tends to be at this point when we get to February. That's when Ben Crellin comes into his own, bless him. So, as we said on the pod, if only we got on that Ben.
All right, let's move on. Let's talk a little bit about Ben Dinnery. So, can you reveal to the stream how this came about that we got such a fucking massive, big dick energy Ben Dinnery?
Yeah, of course. So, I've just accidentally zoomed in on the questions that we've got from listeners, and now it's really difficult to read any of them. I don't know how I've done that. Anyway, I'm just going to leave it. Ben was gracious enough to come on as a guest. Back when the Fantasy Weekly podcast started, it was just me and Mark, and we were doing that for about, I would say, maybe 15 episodes before at the end of last season. And Mark couldn't make one of those, and so I asked Ben to come on in his place, and we mostly talked about injuries. It's kind of like an injury special, and I just thought Ben was fantastic. What I loved about Ben is that not only is he incredibly eloquent when he's actually on the podcast itself, when we're recording and he's answering our questions, he kind of goes into professional mode. But what's so great about Ben is that he's got a streak that not many people see in him, which is that he's incredibly funny.
He's so good.
He's so funny. And when we weren't recording for this guest episode, when we weren't recording, he was coming out with these absolute crackers, just in his Geordie accent. And I wanted to capture it all, and I felt so sad that obviously it was only after we pressed the record button he kind of switched into a more professional mode. Still a really funny guy, still a laid back guy, but obviously he's a very, very intelligent man, and that really comes across when he's answering questions for us. So for me, it's his ability to balance the intelligent and the insightful with the ridiculous and the sense of humor that you expect from the Geordies. So it's just so exciting. Like I'm really happy. I reached out to him and explained the situation, told him about Mark's departure, and that we want someone of an equal or higher caliber to come in his stead.
Yeah.
And Ben said he would consult the missus, and luckily Mrs. Dinnery agreed.
She agreed.
We've really got her to thank. She's the she's the one that gave the green light. So it's a real it's a privilege really to have him on, because he's a very, very busy man. As explained on the podcast, he's worked 365 days a year for the last 10 years. He was late for his second child's birth. He works on Christmas Day. I mean, this is a very committed man. So the fact that we can get an hour of his time each week is very, it's a big privilege.
And I've showed the chat. This is probably my biggest milestone to date. He has followed me, and it's on the screen right now. Thank you, Daft, for your host. I appreciate that. Anyone who is new, if you follow the stream, you're gonna get an email when we go up live and all that stuff, and I'm gonna get emotes and things like that. Thank you very much, Dafts. Every single time, James? On the screen right now, Ben Dunnery has followed you. Now, I was like, now you're gonna be cringing right now, right? But Ben Dunnery has followed me, and I clicked on him, and I was like, oh man, he follows me. And then I looked at 17.1 thousand people that he follows, and I suddenly didn't feel special anymore, right?
Yeah.
But then, right, I clicked on the Fantasy Weekly podcasts stream, or Twitter, sorry, and you guys don't follow me.
Do we not follow you?
No! I have Ben Dinnery following me,
funny.
FPL General following me, Football Fantasy Scout fucking follow me. But
That's
Fantasy
so funny,
Weekly,
man.
who I am a part of, I'm on their fucking bio right there, and they don't follow me. How funny
You know what?
is
You know what? I'm gonna
Keep it like that.
I'm gonna keep it like that. Yeah,
Keep
I
it
was
like
gonna
that.
go on and follow you. I thought no, actually,
No,
it'll be a
fuck
funny
it.
recurring
Fuck
joke.
it.
Yeah, because the thing is, part of the Fantasy Weekly's kind of allure, I suppose, on its Twitter is that we barely follow anyone. Like the people that we follow a few fellow podcasts.
Let's go through.
And
Ben Dinnery,
and
obviously
we
you
follow
followed.
up. I tell you what, shall I unfollow Mark? Take him down to 15. Like,
Yes, unfollow Mark on the.
Yeah,
So
I
you
will.
followed Ben Dinnery, you followed Ryan from Fancy Yerma, which is absolutely fine. Kevin Badder, who edited the podcast when we were in dire need. Fallout Podcast, who's a big fan. Rushy, obviously. Bin Masad, who is everyone's go-to. I'm gonna leave it at that. For a couple of other people, Surgery Podcast, of course, Renegades, who are into it, Planet FPL, of course, Holly, yourself, you've followed yourself, FPL
of course.
General, and Fantasy Bet. And,
There you go.
and
Mark's
me.
now unfollowed.
So if I refresh, Mark's not gonna be there anymore.
Yeah, Mark won't be there anymore.
He's actually not there anymore.
Yeah, so Abdullah bin
funny is
Masad is the
Son of the Sheikh, who is Sheffield
Is it-
United, right?
exactly, yeah, he is indeed, yeah. So he's I don't know why I think maybe we wanted to get him on as a guest at one point. So
That's
I think I thought
mate, we could
I'll
probably
follow
do
him.
it.
Maybe he'll fire us a follow back, but actually he can be unfollowed as well because
Ben
I think-
Dinnery is the first person who ever has been verified that has followed me, I think. Other than David, I was about to call him Wednesday. Is that right? I'm
David
drunk as
Monday.
fuck. David Monday. I knew it was a day of the week.
Wrong day of the week, mate, yeah, David
Wednesday.
I
I'm
called
so
it David
sorry.
Wednesday.
David Monday. He follows me and he's. Oh no, he doesn't. Oh, there we go. Okay, cool. So Ben Dinnery is the first person that follows me. I'm surprised. We had a very good discussion about Pokemon a couple of days ago. David Wednesday. Oh well, there you go. Drunk Dave.
Probably
So
could call him Wednesday.
let's do the Drunk Dave questions, shall we? Because we've been going for a while. I know you've got Are you insecure, Dave? I'm actually not. I'm quite an open book, which is kind of detrimental to a lot of things. I'm autistic, for anyone who doesn't know, and people should know, to be honest. Fuck me. You've seen the way that I
Oh,
deal with everything.
no, no, no. I think I don't think that's the case at all. I think you come across as, I mean, as many
Hide it well.
as many autistic people do. You know, you come across as incredibly intelligent and very socially competent, and none of the things that maybe people would associate with like a stereotypically autism sufferer. So I think.
Okay.
Dude, I think you're definitely not an insecure person,
No, no,
but I
no.
do.
That's the thing. I was gonna make the point. Like, the how do I say this without pissing off other people? The concept of being insecure doesn't make sense to me. Does that make sense? Like, I don't have empathy. So how
Well,
could I
it's a
have
very,
empathy for
yeah.
myself?
That's a very logical outlook, I think, but it's one that I think you do embody. I do think, however, you're very. I think people could maybe confuse your sense of humor, which is typically quite self-deprecating,
Yeah.
as being an insecurity. But I think actually it is just that you find it funny to take the piss out
You know
yourself.
what? You know what happened? Like, I was in high school, maybe 14, 15, 16 years old, and I could tell you the exact story when it happened, but basically around that age, I I decided that making fun of other people only made myself laugh. But if I made fun of myself, everyone laughs. So
Mm.
I took that to the streets. I worked in a bar for 4 years, and you get better tips when you make fun of yourself rather than the customer. Who would have thought?
It's funny that,
So,
isn't it? Yeah.
and you know what? It's a horrible story, but there was a really saying this on stream it's so cringy, but like there was a really there was
He's
a
had a lot to drink as well, guys. Strap yourselves
all
in for
right,
this
story
one,
time.
folks. Strap
So
yourselves in for this
I
one.
am so sorry, right? But there was a girl who was diagnosed as being terminally ugly is the best way I can put it.
Oh,
She was just horrible looking, right? And
oh, Dave.
it wasn't down to her. It was just objectively she wasn't nice to look at. And she had a go at me once because I was being facetious or whatever the fuck, patronizing. It was in history class, and the teacher asked me about World War Two. I answered. I knew the fucking answer, and she went and she said something like, of course, David knows the answer, right? Basic bullying tactics of the girl who's insecure about herself, so she projects on other people for being smarter than she is. And I was a goody two shoes, and I quoted. Have you ever seen Predator, the original with
Oh,
Arnold Schwarzenegger?
yeah, well, I've seen again like sort of thing that I watched like probably in the late 90s, but
Daft says
uh,
you were being a Dave. Yeah, no, exactly. So she said that to me, and my comeback was a quote from Predator, when he meets the Predator for the first time, and I said loudly in front of the whole class, "You are one ugly motherfucker," right? And I said that in front, and everyone went, "Oh!" And the teacher sent me out. I got a punishment exercise.
I bet you did.
Yeah, I had to do lines and all that shit. Like, I made her cry. She has since had facial surgery. I'm not kidding. She had her jaw realigned and all stuff. Like, she was genuinely not nice to look at. But that was the point. Like that, I genuinely he's going mental. But this is drunk Dave talking to you live. That is the point in my life when I went, that was really funny. It was a really big quote. I love that quote. It's one of my favorite. I'm actually wearing, not even joking, I'm wearing a Predator t-shirt right now. It's one of my favorite movies of all
I,
time.
I
Look
don't
at
feel
that.
like you've learned. I don't feel like you've learned the obvious lesson from this experience.
No, no, no.
I
But
feel
the
like
point.
I feel like you're just really happy with it. You're just like, I
No,
just
but
really
that's the
nailed that
point. That is
insult.
the point when autistic 15-year-old Dave went, "Oh, no one laughed at that," and I know
Yeah,
it was funny.
that
So
was the
that
main.
means that it's actually not funny to make fun of people. Maybe I should try something different. And then I started working in the bar, and I realized that making fun of yourself was better, and you get more tips doing that way. And then I became a competent, normal human being. And if you make fun of yourself, then everyone feels better about themselves. And that was the point. I said that one quote from Predator, and it turned my whole life around. And now I have a great girlfriend who I met during my pub time, who thought I had a great sense of humor. If I had never said that quote, I would never have got my girlfriend, who cooks and cleans for me, for fuck's sake. I would have never.
Nice trick.
I would never have met you. I would never have been doing this fantasy football stuff. So I owe a lot to that girl who looked like a fucking alien.
Oh, God.
So
it was all going so well for a second there, and then you just dragged it back down to earth.
Ah, fuck it.
Dave,
she was bullying me.
Dave, let me just, because I realise we're now past the hour mark, and I really, really want to get some of these questions because we have had a record number and it'd be a shame to waste them.
Yeah, do it.
So we're going to do these in record time, Dave, because I think one thing that I've learned about Drunk Dave is that he does like an elaboration. Being as diplomatic as I can here. Okay. So these are going to be like 10-second answers.
Right,
okay?
Go for it.
We're going to try and get for as many as we can. FPL Irons asks, which 3 FPL players would you take with you on a lad's holiday? He then adds that he would take St. Maximum, Grealish, and Connor Cody. Dave, who would you take?
Mendy, Grealish, and Mount, maybe.
Mount.
Aye.
All right, fair enough.
Maybe just someone who knows both of them, that has a mate that he's like the quiet one that will phone the taxi. You know, you need someone who's like that. You need someone who knows.
Grealish.
Grealish, really?
No, I would not take Grealish.
Okay, Mendy definitely. Like 100%.
I think Mendy would be cool. I think Grealish, I don't know. I've heard some stories about Grealish. I don't know. I think he looks like he's already on a lad's holiday.
Oh, Deeney.
Deeney, yeah, maybe. I'd be more inclined. I want to take someone really who makes me and my body and my insecurities look better. So I would go for someone maybe on like the tubbier side of the footballing spectrum. Someone like a Jordan Pickford. He would be a nice holiday partner because next to him,
bad.
I wouldn't look too terrible.
But see, that's your single side coming out. Like, you would want to look good. Like, I've got a girlfriend.
Yeah, of course.
I've got a girlfriend of 5 years. Like, there's no incentive for me to look good anymore.
No, so you would take that's romance in a nutshell, isn't it?
Daff says Deulofeu, Aurier, and Firmino. He's basically picked the 3 people that I fucking hate the most.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Fantasy football community, Holly says got to be James Milner. Yes, because she likes a golden shower, of course.
Yeah. James Milner would surely be the most boring.
He would be. He'd be like, what size of shoe are you? Oh, nice. I'm a size 9.
James Milner would be the one that wants to go around all the ancient ruins.
No, I would pick.
When everyone else wants to go to the clubs, James Milner's there looking in. No,
exactly. Liam has came up with the exact thing I was about to say. I would pick Mendy. I would pick Grealish or Mount, someone who is okay with English. The lads, but
someone
knows
who's white and English.
And exactly, and El Neni, just because he is the absolute like apple of my eye. I'd fucking pick El Neni, definitely. Next question.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. We've already done the wiping the bum one from FPL King. Thanks for that. FPL Teach Mode wonders whether we'd have a top 10k finish every year or win it one time, but then we never finish inside the top 100k again.
Easy. You win it. I got top 4k top 5k last season. I'm now on a podcast with fucking Ben Dinnery. Right, that's top 5k. Imagine what you could do with one top. I've been in the top 1 million for the most of the season. I am now doing a podcast with fucking Ben Dinnery because of my last season's finish. Imagine winning it just once.
Well, it's also your incomparable charisma, Dave.
I know I'm funny, and I know I can pretend to be drunk.
I didn't approach you because I knew you'd finish top 4K, my friend. I approached you because you're beautiful. I
lived close to fucking General.
Yeah, that was it. It was all logistical. All right, cool. I'll take that.
What about you? He wants to know your answer.
Well, I'd rather win it because I want prizes, quite frankly, and I just wouldn't play again after that. If I knew the terms and conditions, you know. All right, Dave C, another Dave, a rival Dave, says, is Edison a serious contender for Man City's next penalty taker? If so, surely he's worth a punt as a captain. My opinion is no.
I agree.
I don't think he is. In fact, there's a good anecdote about this, which is that when Pep Guardiola was in charge of Bayern Munich, they'd won the league with games to spare, and Pep Guardiola was going to play Manuel Neuer in midfield, and this was a thing that he'd decided the day before the match. He'd put it on his team sheet that he was going to do that, and it was only when his assistant manager persuaded him not to, because it would look like arrogance, that Pep reluctantly put Manuel Neuer in goal. So I think Pep's got that streak in him, but I think he's learnt from that, and I don't think he would, because I think it would be disrespectful, particularly because, let's face it, they're not champions this time either. So it would maybe look a little bit silly for him to do it.
I think there's so many other better picks that are cheaper in goalkeepers that even if he gets one penalty, that Laporte's out, and we did talk about that with Ben Dinnery, if you did listen to the Fantasy Weekly, that it's not worth picking Ederson on your wild card, or indeed even worse, a free hit or free transfer, that it's worth bringing him in hoping that he might get a penalty. Like, there's fucking loads better, like even Pope or Henderson or Ryan even. There's no point in spending that much money. So even if he got penalties, which is a big fucking if, it's still not worth it. And also, we have to remember that Aguero hasn't missed a penalty. I'm pretty sure he hasn't missed a penalty. The whole point was he was benched, or he didn't play, and they missed Jesus missed the penalty, and then he was playing, and he was like, right, Jesus missed a penalty, let's move on to Gundogan, and he missed the fucking penalty. Aguero hasn't missed anything. He's still going. So there's no point in fucking with that. Aguero's probably going to take penalties from now on, and he is definitely my captain for next week.
Okay. Jehovah's Thickness, love that handle, and I always will. Ask, what was the first sex position we tried where we thought, damn, who even invented this? I've got to be honest, I've never that thought has never crossed my mind, especially during a scenario like the one Jehovah's Thickness has described. There are other things on my mind. I'm not thinking, I wonder who invented this. What about you, Dave?
Jehovah's Thickness is my mate who I met in high school. Actually, his name's Andy. He's a lovely person.
It wasn't a woman in your class then who you insulted?
No, but he absolutely hates that story because he remembers that he knows me back then, and he stuck with me despite that. Jehovah's Thickness, Andy. The first sex position that I thought, what the fuck is this? Who's invented this? Was actually probably reverse cowgirl.
Okay.
For me. And it was just like, what? Like, it's not working for either of us. It looks nice, but does it deliver? It doesn't deliver.
I feel like that about this stream, actually. Fantasy Plonker asks who would win in a dance-off between us.
I can't dance. I've got rhythm. Okay. I can't dance. I did drums in university. Like, I actually went to uni and did drums as part of my curriculum. So I have rhythm. I can count a beat. I can't dance. Not even a little bit.
I'm a great dancer, so...
Are you really?
No, terrible. But
terrible. I was about to tell you to get up and fucking prove it.
I think if to win at a dance off, you have to be the most enthusiastic. Yeah. I feel like based on what I've seen from you so far, you would probably bring more energy to the dance, and that might well snatch it for you.
Yeah. Have you ever seen It's a Wonderful Life? When they're so It's a Wonderful Life is a black and white movie. It's a Christmas movie. It's kind of classic, and they're not very good at the dancing competition that they're in, but they show the most enthusiasm. And then they also forget to notice that the hall that they're in is opening up into a swimming pool right beneath their feet, and they don't realize, and they accidentally fall in. But everyone thinks they're really good dancers because they're dancing really close to the edge, and they come back out. And that would be me. Like, I don't realize how shit I am, but everyone notices. Like, oh, he's trying his best. And there's also a swimming pool. There's a bit of a fatality risk.
Well, that's okay. Yeah, I like that. Okay, so you would endanger your life for the sake of a good dance off.
Exactly.
I love that enthusiasm. I love that commitment. That's what I've come to know and expect from you, Dave, to be honest with you. Colm, big friend of the stream, asks who Dave has a bigger aubergine for.
Aubergine. Hold on, I
Ben
want to
Dinnery,
find that.
Ben Dinnery, Danny Ings, me, as in James, or anyone with free bourbon. Now, he actually posited this question in the form of a poll
I know.
on Twitter, and 14 people voted.
Did they
So
really? I
people
only looked at
voted
it. I was the first
in
person to
your
vote.
stead. The winner was me
Was it
with
really?
57% of the votes. Ben Dinnery was second with 21%, and anyone with free bourbon, surprisingly, third place with 14%. Now, Dave, I was the second person to vote, and I voted for me.
I was the first person to vote, and I
And
voted
you
anyone
voted
with
anyone
free
with free
bourbon.
bourbon. Yes, you did, because there were only 2 votes at the time, and I got to see them both. So you would go for anyone with free bourbon.
Okay, so
Which
who does FPL Dave have a bigger dick for? Ben Dinnery.
aubergine.
Like the fact that he's aubergine, sorry, Ben Dinnery is massive, right? And I absolutely understand him putting that.
What,
in
his
there.
aubergine?
Yeah,
Okay.
of course you can tell
Yeah.
the way he
Yeah.
swings himself about.
Yeah.
Danny
Yeah.
Ings is just a differential that I got on the train at the right time. So let's fuck that up. So really, it comes between you and Ben Dinnery. Anyone with free bourbon is just the way I'm feeling. See, if I'm hungover, I want fucking nothing to do with bourbon. But if I'm just about a night out, then yeah, bourbon works. And just as I was voting, I knew I was going on a night out with my colleagues, so
I
that
feel
kind
like
of
I've
worked
been
at the point.
robbed. I feel like me and Ben have been
You know
robbed here.
what? You know what? The fact that you're on this pod every Thursday, and the fact that I'm doing, or not pod stream, and the fact that I'm doing the Fantasy Weekly with you, and you found me, and then we're kind of doubling up, and we've got this chemistry. I think it is you. Like, genuinely, Ben Dinnery might come and go, but me and you stay strong throughout. We're big hard
Stop.
dicks. I agree.
Stop it.
James,
Stop it,
100%.
you. Stop
Ben
it.
Dinnery was the Newcastle fan against Oxford, swinging it around. FPL, Holly says Ben for sure. I think, like, I really am fanboying at Ben being on the pod, but
Yeah,
he'll never replace you, bro.
Big Dick Dinnery. Yeah, he
Big
does.
Dick
You can
Dinnery.
tell. You can tell because his center of gravity is all over the shop. When he was shuffling around, when he was shuffling around on the pod beforehand, trying to get himself comfortable, you could see his body swayed around like he was carrying a big old weight.
Flapjack has messaged us in the live chat saying "tongue and Dave."
Dave, absolutely.
That's
Dave
a good
in
point.
Loftus Cheek.
This is the first time that you've actually been on stream since I've updated the stream visuals. Do you like tongue and Loftus? Is that how you want to be known
I don't.
for?
Well, I do know I like it. The space in between the wording is interesting, so I've never articulated like that myself.
Do you want me to take
Uh,
I can actually absolutely
No.
take that out.
I'm not fussed. I'm
No,
not
I'm
fussed.
changing it now, right now, as we speak. Tongue in Loftus. There you go.
Change it to tongue in Dave for the remainder of the stream.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Awesome.
I
Tongue
think in
in
just
Dave.
as an acknowledgement to Flapjacks,
No,
bit
absolutely.
of comedy gold there, a little chunklet of gold
There
in
we
the
go.
chat.
Tongue and Dave.
There we are. Love that.
All right.
that.
Next question.
That's it, man. We're done. We're done.
Oh, really? Have you got any
we've
questions?
got one more from Colm. It's actually an FPL one though. He says, in these uncertain FPL times, is it better just to stick to the FPL template? Surely it depends on your team, right? Right, Dave?
Yeah. Yeah, the template is dead unless you wildcarded last week, in which case the template is very much alive. The Fantasy Football Scout talked about the new template versus the old one. The Planet FPL talked about how everything's switching up. Even Mark, FPL General, in his 59 podcast talked about how many people or how many players that were in his wild card, or not his wild card, his watch list that he has now released from his watch list that are still in his team, including Rico and all that stuff. So yeah, it depends on what template you're talking about. But yeah, the old template is dead. I feel like this is the Empire Strikes Back type time. Do you know what I mean?
The old template is dead. Long live the new template.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. That might be a nice note on which to finish.
I agree.
What do you reckon? I can tell you don't want to, Dave. I can tell you just...
I know. I'm
You
having
would
such a
sit
good
here
time.
all night, wouldn't you? You would sit here all night.
I'm sorry. I know you
I've-
want
I've-
to go.
I've got a very strict sleep hygiene regimen now that needs to be observed, which involves a solid 30 minutes of novel reading, no screen time.
What book are you reading?
no circadian rhythm being interrupted. I've just finished a book called The Virgin Suicides, and
Nice.
just started a book now called Capitalist Realism, which is about the inevitability of capitalism and whether it's the only option for us or not.
I like it. I've got a few book
Should
alternatives for you to read, should you want them.
Kama Sutra volumes 1, 2, and 3. So that next time,
No, you got it. You've done it. Yeah, that's it. Thank you
next
so much for everyone joining us. I know that I was a drunken mess and we talked about chip strategy for about 4 minutes and we argued back and forth, but hopefully it was informative and you took something from it. From all of us here at the FPL Dave stream, thank you very much for joining us, and we'll speak to you again, hopefully in a sober fashion. Thank you much, James.
see you next
Thank you
week,
very
guys.
much,
Take
James.
care.
I'm so fucked. See you later. Bye, 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 bye. Oh.
You're right, mate.
Honestly, that was really fun.
Drink some
But
water.
water's for absolute pussies, honestly.
It's not. It's not. Water's for the masses.